Welcome back to TV5 News at 9, friends. It's another edition of Ask the County. Joining us this morning, Saginaw County Treasurer Tim Novak. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Good morning today.
Good. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, we are talking, interesting topic today, all about alternatives to incarceration for non-violent felony offenders. Now, Tim, why should local communities encourage alternatives instead of prison or jail?
Yeah, so this isn't about being soft on crime necessarily. Okay. This is still about having offenders being held accountable for their actions. You're still going to punish and hold the offender accountable.
Okay.
You're going to reduce crowding in state prisons and our local jails. Use structured programs so that public safety isn't sacrificed here as well.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you offer, educational and substance abuse treatment programs for folks to kind of reduce recidivism and keep folks out of the system. It's kind of your, maybe it's your first time in the system, and maybe there's just another option for you outside of you just going to prison or jail.
So Tim, what kind of programs are available?
So there's residential type programs like for substance abuse or work placement type treatment programs. Really, the goal there is to kind of change lifestyle.
Okay.
Getting folks out of that normal pattern of kind of bad behaviors and getting them out of, using substance abuse on a daily basis. So those are those residential treatment programs. There's also drug and alcohol day reporting programs, 24/7. They can go in and have their testing done at the center if they're required for periodic times to take drug and alcohol testing. There's PLUS programs. There's where prisoners are able to leave under supervision. So there's some different options for folks to maybe be home or be in a program outside of the jail. Maybe they can maintain their job. Maybe they can see their family. It's that one more option that allow folks to one more chance.
Yeah, so what are some of the options for people before trial?
Yeah, so this is also, sometimes you run into people that, I've been accused of a crime and I haven't gone to trial yet, and if you can't make your bond or there's other types of provisions, the community actions program, community corrections program says, look, let's come up with like the least restrictive bond practices. So are there things, once again, for somebody who's 18 years old, it's being accused of a felony, they not demonstrated a pattern of violent behavior in the past, and they don't live with the alleged victim. So if they meet that criteria, so they can offer services like day reporting, daily monitoring and release, which you may more a tether, maybe we're used to hearing, maybe referral to substance abuse. So those other things while you're awaiting trial that says, you don't have to sit in jail waiting trial. There's some programs for you and some strict guidelines for you to follow. Yeah. Because it's a privilege to be able to wait outside for this. Yeah. But once again, to keep the public safe. Sure. But offering some alternatives. Some
options. Okay. So how can these alternatives prevent repeat offenders?
Yeah. So we talk about recidivism rates, or do we end up back in the system? They've done some studies that suggest the tether programs. Can, by 20% less recidivism rate, people back in the system. Day reporting, once again, it's 29–30% improve that folks are not back in the system. And they asked folks, this like, why would you participate in these types of things? They said, clearly get out of jail early, not have to sit in a cell were two things you clearly without ones. But the third one was interesting. He said they want to improve themselves.
I love that.
So maybe it's like that. Yeah. Okay, now I really get it. Sure. So it's a way that we can keep people out of a system, because if they feel that's their only alternative, the community isn't any better. And folks can make mistakes, have things happen, and still understand that they have consequences they have to suffer. Right. But there's alternatives to get yourself on the right track.
It seems like they've learned that they can improve themselves.
Yeah, get on the right track.
Yeah. So where can people find more information about this?
So on the Saginaw County's website, they just look under Community Corrections, and there's a whole area where they talk about your options, what are available, the statute that allows for these types of programs, and things like that. So if you go to start@saginawcounty.com, search for Community Corrections, its information's all there.
Well, thank you for bringing that to us.
You're very welcome.
Before you go, though, we want to talk to you about and ask you about the passing of football and basketball legend Leo Smokey Boyd. He did so much for Saginaw and this community, and we know that you used to play for him. So
I did.
What do you hope that people take away from his legacy?
mean, anybody that either, because he was a teacher forever, you know, and so if he either taught or played for him, I tell you, things were simple.
Yeah.
He required discipline and focus, right? So those were the kind of the things. And on the outside, he looked like this real hardcore guy. He kind of had a soft side. His wife Betty was kind of his support system, his soft side, and it would be funny, you know, he'd yell at you, he'd expect these high expectations, and it was funny. He loved the band, right?
Love it.
So he loved the band, and we didn't have a band at the time back when I played, but we would go to these other places, and you look at him. Here he is, half hour before kickoff, and the other band's playing. He's got a big smile on his face, and his legs are kind of moving like he's half dancing. We were just looking like, this is the guy that yells at us and screams at us and holds us accountable for all these like simple things, and you realize, and then once you graduate, you know, you weren't a number position anymore. He called you by your name. Really he really cared about all of his students and his players, and was really quite a legacy to Saginaw. He had a soft side to him that, you know, you maybe didn't realize when you were playing for him or you were a student of his. But his passing and his wife's passing, they're very legends in the community, and all across the state. That he was very well respected.
Well, we thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, wow, what a loss to the community.
Yep.
Thank you so much,
you.
Tim, for all your information today. If you have questions that you'd like to ask the county, just send them to WNEM@WNEM.com.